pursuant to Senator Byron and Bear, Open Public Meetings Act, amended and supplemented Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey, passed 1975. Notice of this meeting was given by adopting the annual schedule of location, time, and date, sending copies to the Home News Tribune, posting in the Borough Hall, filing copies with the Borough Clerk within 7 days following the annual organization meeting of this body. Now I ask you to rise for an invocation given by Council President Muldoon, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's just take a moment of silence to consider the matters at hand tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Katie, can we have a roll call?
Councilman Wallace.
Here.
Councilwoman Rasmussen.
Here.
Councilwoman Insero.
Here.
Councilman Grayzel.
Here.
Councilman Camerano.
Here.
Council President Muldoon.
Here. I make a motion that we open the agenda session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay. Any items for the agenda session?
Your Honor, I have one.
Okay.
Your Honor, a couple of meetings ago, during my library report, I mentioned that we had narrowed down and had an offer out at the time for a new library director. And the suggestion was made by Councilman Grayzel that when we do the hiring, we bring the new director in for an introduction. So actually, if it's okay with you, I would like to take a moment to introduce Susanna Chan, who is our new library director. She has already started, hit the ground running. She comes to us after a pretty good run at the South Brunswick Library System as the head of the Children's Services section, where she oversaw a staff of about 9 people. She's also worked in the Somerset County Library System, and really impressed the board beyond all the other candidates. I might add, we had some tremendous candidates, but Susanna really did a great job. And judging from the first, has it been a week, 10 days? How long have you been on the job? 2 weeks. She's accomplished a tremendous amount in a relatively short period of time. So if it's okay with you, I would like to introduce her and ask if she could say a few words.
Please, Mrs. Chan, come forward and welcome to Metuchen, and you could address us and the public, okay?
You want to face out.
Thank you, Councilman. I'm honored that I was selected to be the director of the public library in this prestigious community. Though I face some challenges due to funding shortage, I'm confident that with the support of the Borough Council and the community, I'll be able to promote and instill greatness in the library's operation. I have a vision to move the library forward as a community gathering place with educational, recreational, cultural, and informational activities, a well-balanced and diverse collection that complements the school's curriculum and meets the needs of the community. It should also be a place that encourages innovation, imagination, and creativity, and where people can socialize and share their expertise. I also look forward to reaching out into the community to develop partnership with local organizations and businesses. I'm extremely excited about all the interesting opportunities that this new position will offer me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and welcome. We are excited to have you here, too, and we wish you well, and anything that we can do to help the mayor, the administrator, and the council are all here to work together with you to making our library a better place. So we welcome you, and we want to wish you the best in your pursuit for making our library a better place for the borough of Metuchen. So thank you, and thank you for coming out tonight. Councilman, you have anything else?
I just have two quick things. I wanted to recognize and thank all the groups that work so hard to make our downtown so beautiful for the holiday season. A lot of times, every Christmas season, it's decorated, the lights go up, but I think this year it looks really great. So I want to recognize the Chamber of Commerce, Ace Borough Hardware, the Metuchen Garden Club, and the Metuchen Department of Public Works, and many of the merchants and business owners, for making the downtown look so great for the holidays. And also, in keeping with the holiday focus, I want to thank the Borough Improvement League for organizing the annual Hometown Holiday Guide. And there were a lot of events that happened the first weekend of December, including the house tour, the Eat, Drink, Buy Art event, St. Luke's Christmas Fair, the EMS Santa Breakfast. There was a 5K Jingle Bell run and other events over that weekend. So we probably had about, well over 1,000 people in Metuchen participating in these various holiday events throughout the town that weekend. So it was, I think, a great effort by lots of groups. And, none of these events are possible without all the volunteer efforts of many Metuchen residents. We always talk about how great Metuchen is because of our volunteers. So I just want to thank everyone for helping to make that weekend so great and making our town a great place to live and visit. So thank you very much.
Are there any other items for the agenda?
I just have a couple of questions about two of our consent agenda items, so I don't know if I should ask them now or wait until we get to that portion.
Why don't you ask them now?
Okay. I have a question about this 2013-232, the resolution refunding solicitor's permit application fee, Garden State custom windows, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My question is, not that what is it about, but why are we giving the money back, and I just want to understand it better.
I'm sorry, Dorothy, I couldn't follow you. You said 2013-232, but it sounded like you read off a different,
Yeah, and it says resolution refunding solicitor's
Oh.
permit application fee.
that's the supplemental submission we got?
No.
It's
No,
right
it-
here, it's C.
Okay. Thank you.
You know, and it's
Yes, I have it.
different.
The title's different.
The title's
it's-
different.
We're talking about 213-232?
Correct.
You're reading, Councilwoman, you're reading off the resolution?
Right,
numbers
I'm
are
reading from the
crisscrossed.
page,
Okay.
not from the yellow thing.
Okay, I think that's where I was confused.
The numbers are crisscrossed. It's 231 on the agenda.
Ah. Okay. So it's 231 on the yellow sheet. and
232.
232 on my copy here.
Okay.
The solicitor's permit is we took in monies. They wanted a 2014 permit. We can't take in 2014 monies prior to the end of 2013, so their money has to be refunded, and then they have to reapply after January 1st.
Okay, because the reason I was asking this question is that someone came to my house trying to sell me windows, and I called up the company that they said that they were, and they told me that they did have a permit from the police. So when I saw this refunding money, and I'm like, but people were already soliciting. So do they have a permit also for last week?
I'd have to double check. They may have gotten one in the beginning of last year.
Right.
Which would run through December 31st of this year.
Okay. All right, so that was the question on that one. And then on, I hope I have the right one now, a resolution to fund outside overtime escrow balances. That's 2013-236.
Okay, what is your question?
My question is, one of the portions says, whereas the following police outside overtime escrow balances are uncollectible. And then it says the next one, that the chief financial officer / tax collector be instructed to fund in the amounts indicated the following police outside overtime escrow balances. So why are they uncollectible, and then why are we funding them? That's the, I don't know.
Okay, well, there's a number of reasons why they're uncollectible. Some of these go back to 2008.
Okay. Okay.
Back when PSE&G and Elizabethtown Gas had different methods for handling the paperwork for the police outside overtime.
Okay.
We've cleaned that up now so that we won't pay any police officers on outside overtime until we've collected the money. And PSE&G and Elizabethtown have, I guess, a revolving account that they put money into
Okay.
periodically. The final three, the construction companies,
Right.
they are going to be unable to get a permit to do work in town until they pay off this balance. But the auditor is recommending to close out our books at the end of the year, that we clean this up.
Okay.
So some of it's uncollectible, but we're working our way through that. But we just need to get these off the books, fund them, and then get the money.
Okay, because I thought if I read it and I wasn't sure what it meant, that maybe if other people had read it, weren't sure either what it meant. But thank you very much.
Any other items for the agenda?
I move we close the agenda session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, at that point in the meeting where I'm going to open it to the public for any questions or comments. Anyone from the public that has a question or comment can come forward to the mic. Hearing none, I'm going to close that section of the meeting.
Next, we have the ordinances.
Yep.
Okay, we have there's two ordinances for public hearing. First one is ordinance number 2013-15. Katie, would you present an affidavit of publication?
Said ordinance has been published one time in the Home News Tribune according to law on December 5th, 2013.
I move that the affidavit be received and filed.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Katie, would you read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance number 2013-15, an ordinance amending and supplementing ordinance number 92-25, establishing salary ranges.
Okay, I'm going to open it to the public for any questions on this ordinance and this ordinance only. This establishes salary ranges for a number of non-union employees in the borough. Hearing none, close that section of the meeting.
I move that an ordinance be passed on second reading and published according to law.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's a roll call vote.
Councilman Camerano.
Yes.
Councilman Grayzel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Insero.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rasmussen.
Yes.
Councilman Wallace.
Yes.
Council President Muldoon.
Yes.
Okay, the ordinance passes.
The second ordinance for public hearing is ordinance number 2013-16. Katie, would you present an affidavit of publication?
Said ordinance has been published one time in the Home News Tribune according to law on December 5th, 2013.
I move that affidavit be received and filed.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Katie, would you read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance number 2013-16, an ordinance to amend the code of the Borough of Metuchen, various chapters to amend certain application, license, and permit fees.
Okay, I'm going to open it to the public for any questions or comments on this ordinance and this ordinance only. Hearing none, I'm going to close that section of the meeting.
I move that the ordinance be passed on second reading and published according to law.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's a roll call vote.
Councilman Camerano.
Yes.
Councilman Grayzel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Insero.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rasmussen.
Yes.
Councilman Wallace.
Yes.
Council President Muldoon.
Yes. All right. I move that communication consent agendas, items A, B, and C be accepted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. At that point, we have reports of the council members. Council President?
Thank you, Mayor. The Parking Authority meets tomorrow night at 7:30 at the Parking Authority building. And the Historic Preservation Committee is not meeting in December. Their next meeting is January 14th. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Wallace?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Before I present the things I was going to talk about on transportation, I happen to see Jay in the audience, and he's the chairman of our traffic and transportation, so maybe Jay would want to come up and say a few things.
Thanks. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit of perspective on some of the things we've been discussing in the committee, namely the pedestrian flag pilot program, which I think Councilman Wallace was
Right
going to
there,
report on tonight.
You can go ahead.
Yeah, and so the top line results, and we can provide more detail once additional analysis is done, but as you probably are aware, from October 6th through November 8th, we conducted a open comment period for the public and collected survey input via online through the borough webpage and also through surveys that were distributed around the borough. We had a total of 433 respondents, which was pretty robust. Of those, over 90% said that they were aware of the flag program. Half of those polled, or nearly half of those polled, had tried using the flags, 44%. Most that had not used them noted that the reason was the pilot locations were not in areas where they cross. More than 80% of those who used the flags found them to be a useful tool. 70% of the respondents, whether they tried the flags or not, want to see the program expanded. Only 6% had no opinion on the expansion. Also, we've received a number of write-in requests for additional crossing areas. You may know when we initiated the program, the committee also identified additional crossing areas based on police reports for incidents in the borough, and we prioritized those areas, so we're prepared to advance those to the council as well. There are a couple of other points just to note. One is we're slightly concerned that we have not been privy to an updated police accident report, traffic safety report, since 2011. In fact, that was the last updated report that the committee's seen. So we're interested in the 2012 statistics and also the 2013 statistics, which we would expect to see soon or hope to see soon. There was also an open item around signage in the community. I understand the police department has a portable sign now, which is helpful. As you might recall, the committee recommended that we establish permanent signs at the gateway entrances to the Borough of Metuchen. We were asked to propose and approve language for those signs, which we did, and we still are interested in seeing those signs posted, which, to my knowledge, they haven't been.
Can I ask you a question on those? What type of signs or what size was that discussed? I'm just trying to get an idea of.
We didn't discuss dimensions, but specifically, but we certainly can if you'd like us to. We had envisioned something that would be on or near the Welcome to Metuchen signs at the various gateway entrances. I don't have the specific language in front of me that we approved, but we could easily access that. And maybe, I don't know if Jim has it.
It was, welcome to the Borough of Metuchen. Metuchen is
Pedestrian-friendly,
pedestrian-friendly traffic enforcement.
traffic rules strictly enforced, or something to that effect.
Strictly enforced,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
right word. Thank you.
We looked at a couple different versions of that language and then agreed on a final version, which.
Yeah, the language is
which is
good.
good.
And I like the idea. My thought is, in some places as you enter Metuchen, there's quite a clutter of signs.
Right.
Like directing you to different houses of worship and the 2002 track team championship, and goes on and on.
Yep.
So my concern is if we place another sign, does it get lost in the blur of signs and not deliver on the objective? So I don't know if we can make it from a color or size or whatever, but it's got to basically be very vibrant and visible so
Right.
people see it and read it. Otherwise, it's just going to be like, so just a thought on that.
Sure. No, we would, I'm sure that our committee would agree with that, since the motivation was really to alert drivers to the fact that they need to pay extra attention while they're passing through Metuchen, and that there is a significant effort to enforce particularly pedestrian safety rules. The last comment was just related to the discussion of the recent fatality in the crosswalk on Grove Avenue, and the fact that we had numerous complaints, which I think some of you are aware of, about that particular crosswalk. And there was a recent complaint since the fatality of the lighting in that crosswalk, that the street light there apparently is not very bright and doesn't really illuminate the crosswalk. So that was something that we also wanted to post with the council for assessment. And if that's true, it would make sense given the fact that particularly in the southbound lane, it's difficult to see that crosswalk until you're right on top of it. It would make sense to assess whether or not a brighter street light could be installed in that particular area to illuminate the crosswalk. So those
Well,
are,
was that looked into, Bill? I think?
No, this is the first that I've,
Okay, 'cause I thought we,
yeah, this came up at our meeting. It was a complaint raised
Oh,
and
okay.
was discussed at the meeting this past month. So those, I think, were the items. Did you have anything else, Jim?
No, that was it.
Okay,
We had
thank
it
you.
right there.
Jay, one more thing before you go.
Sure.
And thanks for coming tonight. On the pedestrian flags, so is the committee recommending 5 locations?
Well, we were asked, Councilman Wallace mentioned that the council was interested in the next 5 in priority order. So we have those, and we can share those readily. In fact, they're in the draft minutes, or I can mention them now if you like.
Tyree was supposed to forward them to the borough.
Right. We did have a request also from a citizen at the last meeting for a temporary installment of the flags in the construction area on Lake Avenue, crossing by, is it?
Grant Court.
Grant Court, right. Apparently with the redirection of the traffic, I guess they just recently redirected the traffic there as they're working on the other side. There's no safe way to get to the crosswalk, and so that residents crossing there are concerned that they aren't visible to the traffic coming, and they suggested that the flags would be helpful in this interim period.
Is that if you're going sort of walking south along
If you
Memorial
would be
Park?
going south on 27, you come over the bridge, you make the right, it's right there at the end of the last cone.
Yeah.
Rose in Essex was on top of our list out of the 5.
Right.
And she's happy with one being there, because she could easily walk the other block along 27 on the other side before she crosses.
Your Honor, could I suggest that we contact DOT and our contact on that project and talk to them about that issue, because it is a very difficult place. There are a lot of people walking the train, so
Yeah.
I think, DOT, being as a state road, being it's their project, should have some sense of, at least we need to communicate with them, but beyond that, they should have a sense of obligation to ensure that the pedestrians walking there are safe. So I think we should contact, I forget the gentleman's name, but I think, Bill, you might probably have it, and tell him that we have concerns about that. If they
Yeah,
could
maybe
do
get
signs,
them
they
to
could
create-
probably create some sort of visible.
Signage or something to make it more obvious, yeah.
Yeah,
agree
it's a
there.
that's a good point. I wasn't aware of that.
Yep, agreed.
Mayor?
But to answer your question, we had the 5 additional plus this issue on
Okay.
27.
Okay.
Mayor, Jay, does that 2012 report that Jay referred to exist, and if so, can we get it to him?
Yeah, so it's the annual report.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the annual
Last year,
activity,
right.
I think they call it the activity report, annual activity report. It's actually, if you're familiar with it, if any of you have seen it, it's very informative around.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought we had seen it, didn't we?
I think
The council saw it and discussed it, right?
In fact, I may have it at all.
Yeah.
We
Okay,
haven't
we'll
seen
get
it, so
that.
if somebody
We'll
could get that to us.
make sure that you get a copy of it. And also, once the 2013 is
Right.
prepared, that Traffic and Transportation gets a copy of that.
Excellent. That's helpful. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm just going to go a little bit out of order. Councilman, are you done? Or you have more stuff?
I just mentioned the Recreation Commission has the mother-son bowling applications are here. I had it in front of me. Must have put it underneath one of these papers anyway. It's coming up in January. I forget the date. And their meeting is the very exciting meeting in December they have every year, and that's tomorrow night. Looking forward to it.
Okay.
And that's about it.
And that's the-
Jay covered traffic
that's
and
the
transportation.
calling meeting, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right.
And Jay did a very good job on covering the traffic and transportation for me. And we do have 2 openings, which I alerted Katie to. And Jay, you had one name possible? You could,
We do. Karen Alexander was one name that was submitted, and there's a second, Joanne McKinley, that is trying to decide.
Okay, so we'll look at doing those in January, right? I just want to go a little bit out of order because we're talking about traffic and transportation. Council President, myself, and the Borough Administrator have met twice with our police department, talking about a number of the issues, and we will be mapping out our plan. Basically, the 3 E's: enforcement, education, and engineering. The engineer was not available last week due to a death in his family, so we will be including him in that. One of the things that you'll see is the sign, the movable sign will be out. We talked about, once we know the intersections about the flags, moving those, we talked about a number of items, including making sure that the walkways are repainted. Also replacing, and we're going to have to talk about this in the Finance Committee, replacing the 2 lit crosswalks that are not operable right now, and looking at future ones down the road, developing a plan for those. So we have been meeting, I think it was 2 meetings, and they've been very productive. We're moving along, and we will have that plan written up shortly for the council and the public. But the police department is working with us, and the administrator is working with us to try to do the best we can on this traffic issue with the fatality and the other incidents that have occurred. Okay?
Your Honor, the electric board has been on Middlesex Avenue down near the Greenway crossing, and it says pedestrian crossing ahead, be careful, or I forget the exact wording.
So it's slow down.
Slow down, yeah, right. I don't remember all the wording, but it's been there a week now, and it's been working fine, and I think people are taking note of
Yeah, it's
it.
very visible. And the high school added, included into their rotation on their new,
Right, yes, I did see that.
I know that the plan is to move the sign to the St. Joseph's area, I believe, next, and we're looking at other areas where it can be moved around town.
Right.
So it'll be well used.
Just to clarify, so just to, on the flag intersections, we have those prioritized also, and you should have them, or if not, we can send them to you, or I can share them with you and share that with you now. And then should we, on the pedestrian signage at the gateways, would you like the committee to make a recommendation around the size dimensions, or is that something
Size
that you guys
dimensions,
will
and
take?
if we need to get somebody involved in designing it, then we could have the same sign at different spots.
I think that's what we had envisioned, yeah. So whether we would do that, or whether there's somebody we can work with.
Does DPW get involved with signs? Maybe we can
Well,
get,
yes, once we get the copy, then we'll have the sign made.
and we can talk, but to my earlier point about, I don't want it to be like a generic
So it
white,
blends in.
white with black letter, I mean.
Something visible.
understand-
That's why I'm
understand my
saying
point.
if you-
Yeah, I
if
mean,
you have
there are various designs and colors, and actually, the sign people that we have worked with in the past have I guess you'd say, it's almost a design component to their
Okay.
firm, so once we get the copy and you get the basic colors that you want, then
Okay.
we can work through some things. They'll give you a mock-up so you can look at it. And
Okay, so we just need to get finalized on the copy.
So we can send you, I'll send you, maybe to you, Councilman Muldoon, the copy, the suggested locations. I can send, and also the locations for the flags. I'll send you that tonight or
Okay.
tomorrow.
And then we'll-
And, you know, we really felt not only for people coming into the town, but also for residents to see a visible display of the
Yeah,
intention of the
sure.
borough to do something would be a
You could send
positive
that
signal.
copy to me and also to Bill, that would be great.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Certainly.
Mayor, you had referenced the crosswalks that have the lighting systems
Correct.
that need to be repaired.
Not repaired.
Okay.
They're beyond repair.
I know we haven't had a lot of luck with those. When you say trying to do something, are we looking at replacing them with new systems?
Yes.
Has there been some work done or reports done or some analysis done as to why those things never worked?
Well, they work for a period of time. The biggest problem is that the wiring and the lights in the road are subject to the water, salt, and plows going over them. A good example is the one that we replaced on Penn in Maine. That one had been repaired a number of times, and
Right.
it got to a point where we couldn't repair it again. There's one right now on Central and Liberty, and there's one on
Main and
Lincoln
Main
and
and
Main.
High, right.
And I think that those ought to be looked at by this body and the Finance Committee to find a way to, since we know we had those two already, to replace those. They're beyond repair, we can't repair them, and look at a way to find to replace those. The committee the other day thought about, in the future, looking at one for up by the high school, by the Grove and Crystal would be another area. Now, if you look at the newer ones don't have lights in the road. They have the stanchions
Right.
with the blinking lights, they're solar powered, but you're looking at about $100,000 each.
Like the one on Route 27 by Metro Park, I mean, that's sort of
Which has red lights. It
Yeah.
works-
Right.
Works very well.
yeah.
Or it could be similar to what's at the, near the Greenway crossing, like where the Trailhead Park is. You know, it's not as elaborate as the 27 one, but, you know, big sign and they blink and,
You know, but this is a priority, and it seems to be a priority of everybody up here. But now we have to find a way to make sure that at least the two that have been in there that are not repairable are replaced, and then do a plan to find out where we need the others, and look over a period of time to create those, you know, for pedestrian safety. Okay? And I think that came out of our meeting the other day.
yes.
Now, my question is, are we going to be changing over all of the yellow lights then that blink to red lights? Is that part of the plan?
That's part of the plan, but it's not as simple as just changing light bulbs.
Right.
We found out that there has to be, all I could say is that the police chief is looking into it, that it's not simply just changing the lens or changing the bulbs, and that they have to fit a standard, transportation standard.
From traffic code standards have to be met.
Right.
If you notice the one up by Metro Park, it blinks yellow and then goes to red.
Correct.
It doesn't automatically go to red. So that alone creates a problem or a situation where, you know, I think most of ours are really one light. So we would have to retrofit or replace them with a dual light system.
You know, Peter, I don't know what other people's experience are, but I'm surprised at how good the compliance has been on that Route 27 red light by Metro Park when I've been through there. People seem to really notice it and observe it, and again, it's just anecdotal, but it seems to work relatively well.
Yeah, and I think there's a number of reasons. Number one, it's an overhead light. It goes across the road. Number two, it's red. So it goes from yellow to red, so I think we're programmed to that. But I go through there quite a bit, and I am surprised at how well they work. I never thought they would work there, but I have not seen anybody go through that.
I think the color, as our chief said, makes a big difference, but we had thought it'd be a simple fix, but it is not a simple fix. Okay? Councilman, are you done with your report?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Okay, Councilwoman Rasmussen, you're up next.
Okay. Batting second? No.
Batting third.
Third. Okay. The Development Commission met, and we were discussing, you know, how can we better improve people's, you know, purchasing in Metuchen and promoting our businesses. So we would like to kind of partner a little bit with the chamber and kind of work with them to see, you know, what can we do to help our businesses get noticed and promote them a little bit. So that's something we'd like to do into the next year. The Shade Tree Commission is not meeting this month. The Environmental Commission is not meeting this month. And the Municipal Alliance met on last Thursday. And basically, we were talking about some of the programs we're going to be doing next year. We were discussing and critiquing our town talks and seeing how we can improve things and how we can maybe bring it out more to the students, especially seniors going off to college. We were thinking of doing something more for seniors and their parents to talk about some of the dangers that happen when kids go to college and trying to prevent, you know, some of the kids getting involved with things that are kind of dangerous for them, you know, drugs and drinking, parties like that at college. And that's my report, but I would also like to remind people to please purchase gift certificates for our businesses in town. You know, spend your money in town for your holiday presents, and we'll really be able to reap the benefits by keeping our money in town. And that's it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Insero?
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a very short report just to follow up on what was discussed earlier about traffic and transportation. The Senior Citizens Director, as you know, is working with the police chief to set up some dates in January for the police to go in and do some workshops with the senior citizens on pedestrian safety aimed specifically at seniors, and they're just looking at dates for that. And
Just to add to that, the suggestion that I think Karen Alexandra, when she was here the last meeting,
About going out to the
doing it in
community.
other locations, we've talked with the chief, and they're going to do that. They mentioned the Y and probably the senior apartment building, so that it'll be more than just a senior. We're going to start at the senior
Right.
center first, but they are on board with doing it at multiple.
And maybe they can work with the new library director, too.
Oh, yeah, this
Yeah.
library, yeah.
And that's my report.
Thank you. Councilman Grazel?
Thank you, Mayor. The TV Technology Advisory Committee met on December 5th. The borough was about to embark on an informal negotiation of the franchise agreement with Cablevision. The informal negotiations will be initiated by correspondence sent to Cablevision by our borough administrator. Due to the fact that Cablevision has a monopoly on cable service here in Metuchen, there are significant limits to what we can accomplish in these negotiations. The advisory committee has surveyed, with the help of our borough administrator, certain technological and cable TV needs of borough departments and the Board of Education, and are drawing up a list in consultation with Bill in terms of what to seek in negotiations. If there are points with Cablevision that the public would like us to cover in these negotiations, please contact me and let me know what they are. The Arts Council met recently. They reviewed their program over the last year. The Arts Council had a very successful year in promoting arts activities and working with other groups to promote the arts in Metuchen. The Rotunda Gallery here at Borough Hall will be featuring a new exhibit by artist Chelsea Villegas, who is from Highland Park. She's a painter. The opening will be on Sunday, January 12, 2014 at 12 noon and will run until March. Ms. Villegas is a mixed media artist whose work can be found at chelseavillegas.com. Please stop by the opening or the exhibit at Borough Hall. The Finance Committee met. We discussed the text of the borough's professional service contracts, which we reviewed. In consultation with our borough attorney, we'll be revising some of the language to update it to standard requirements. The mayor gave a brief report on the efforts of the Dog Park Committee at our last meeting. I'd like to summarize by saying the Dog Park Committee has met 3 times. We have discussed several possible sites, talked about features the facility should have and the rules the park would operate under. We are finishing up a report which will be submitted to the mayor and council, and the mayor has already publicly reported that he's begun consultations with county officials to see whether or not there are appropriate county sites. That completes my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Councilman, will that report be in final form, or will that be a rough draft?
It's going to be a draft, which,
Couldn't help it.
I got it, it got to me a little slow.
We'll put some
It will be a
dog-
very rough
Some
draft.
dog biscuits
rough,
attached to
rough
yours,
draft.
okay?
Your Honor, before we continue, the mother-son bowling event is on January 12th.
Okay.
I knew I had the paper here, it was underneath 2 other papers, and it's at the Majestic Lanes in the Hope Lawn section of Woodbridge, like always. And it's a very well-attended event, I understand. I've never been there, but that's the date.
Okay. Councilman Camerino.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was not able to attend the pool commission meeting last week. The EMS meets later this week on Wednesday. But we did have a library board meeting last week, and we had the good news of the new library director last week, and now in my report I get to give the bad news. The library, in adopting their budget for 2014, was faced with a situation where, once again, their funding level has been reduced to the point where the library, beginning February 1st, will be closing on Sundays. We can no longer continue to operate the number of hours that we've been operating. And depending on the funding we do with the borough, whether it's a flat funding budget, which they recommended, or the third of a mill figure, it could result in closing 1 or 2 nights a week. And they've also laid off, or they will be laying off 2 part-time employees. The situation there has been difficult over the last 6 years. Just to give you a sense, from 2009 to 2014, the library budget has been cut $93,675, or 13.4%. The problems arise in that the more the valuations, the equalized valuations go down, and we fund at the third of mill level, the less resources there are, and salaries and benefits, because of the reduction in funding, take up a larger percent. To give you an idea, in 2011, the salary and benefits portion of the budget at the library was about 75%. 2014, that number is 85%, despite the fact that the salary and benefits line has been reduced during that period. So we are facing a very difficult budget year. And frankly, I think we know we're going to be reducing hours. On Sunday, starting February 1st, they will not be open. We tried to look at times that are least inconvenient, but depending on how the budget proceeds, we very well may be closing nights.
Peter, you've done this before. Can you just explain very briefly how the library's fund budget is set?
The minimum funding level, which is what we have funded it at for some time, state statute requires a funding level. It's called a third of a mill formula, and it's based on equalized valuation. It's a percent of the town's equalized valuation. As the values have dropped in town, the minimum required funding has dropped from, just to give you a sense, $792,600 in 2009 to 2014's number, $698,950. So it's just a minimum funding level that we have to provide to them. And generally, since I've been on the council, that's what we have given them. I'm frankly not quite sure, and we'll get into this more during the budget, I'm not sure they're going to be able to operate on that number, given the severity of the reductions over the last 6 years. And I think it's something we're going to have to talk about during the budget process. So immediately, you will see, starting February 1st, there will be no longer Sunday hours until further notice. And then we are holding off in reserve weeknight hours and whether or not we can continue to operate 4 nights a week. We're trying to get some numbers on usage and circulation during those times, but it's something that remains to be seen. The trickle effect of closing at night is a lot of unforeseen things. A number of groups and organizations use the library for meetings every night, and that's why we're looking at February, trying to give everybody advance notice. But, you know, it's something we have to look at, particularly if we fund it at the third of a mill figure. I think you're going to see some serious reductions. So I have no further report.
Thank you. Dennis, do you have a report?
No, Mayor, I have no report.
Bill, do you have no report? I have a couple of items. First, the Metuchen Fire Department, Santa visits are going on this week around town. They were leaving the firehouse earlier and are going to various areas of
They're out
town.
there tonight.
I can't tell you exactly where they are now, but they're going around town. The other thing is, by our fire department participating in a program with Home Depot, we now have 100 free smoke detectors. Anyone that is interested or needs a smoke detector could either contact me or the office here, or contact online the fire department. And this is because our fire department participated in a program over at the Edison Home Depot, and so they donated 100 free smoke detectors for anybody here in town. There's also tips online, winter and holiday safety tips, like watering your tree and don't leave the lights on when you leave on your tree, and other tips that are there for safety for all residents to follow. On Saturday, this Saturday, the 21st, from 5 to 6 p.m., Santa will be at the Senior Center for any families where their children have not been able to come and see Santa. He will be available through the fire department. Don't forget that on December 31st at midnight, there will be fireworks provided by Metuchen Savings Bank down in the Senior Center parking lot. So we wish all of you to be there, and please book your restaurants early so that you can have your dinners to support our businesses in town. Last week, Councilwoman Rasmussen, as the chairperson of the Dismal Swamp, and our planner and I went to the open space meeting at the county. This is we found out about this meeting, and there was an application filed by one of the owners of the property on the Galton to sell 14 acres to the county for open space. So we went and testified on the borough's behalf. The Open Space Committee voted unanimously to recommend to the freeholders that they would purchase these 14 acres, which are mostly wetlands and would be the front door to the Dismal Swamp. So if the extension of the greenway is done, this will be an area that will be in part in Edison and in Metuchen, which will get people right into the Dismal Swamp of 14 acres. The committee recommended, as I said, unanimously to purchase this, and it's based on whatever the appraisals will be. So we were fortunate to be there and support that type of activity, which maybe will give us 14 more acres of open space. I just wanted to wish everybody a happy holiday, have a safe holiday, enjoy the time with your families. And that concludes my report.
I move that the new business consent agenda items A through V be accepted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I move that the bill resolution in the amount of $1,018,293.79.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have appointments. I still do not have the appointment from the Traffic and Transportation for the County Traffic and Transportation Committee, but I do have an appointment of Jean Guarnieri, who was inadvertently left off of the Dog Park Committee, so I'd like to, Council President, would you move that?
Sure. I move the appointment of Jean Guarnieri to the Dog Park Committee.
I second it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Going to open it to the public. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'm going to close that section of the meeting.
I move for adjournment.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.